Welcome to the Life After Plus One podcast, where we turn life's lemons into delightful lemonade. Get ready for inspiring stories, uplifting conversations, and all the tips and tricks to rock your single parent journey with style. I'm your host, Leanne, and it's time to embrace the adventure of Life After Plus One. So, let's dive in.
Hello, welcome back to Life After Plus One. I'm Leanne, your podcast host and your single parent mentor and coach. And today I want to talk about the topic of the first date. What to do, how to go about it, what you should and shouldn't do, and just how to approach it really. So first things first, in getting to the first date, which is a part that a lot of people don't even get to. They say, I don't even get dates anymore. Well, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Well, it's a funny world at the moment, isn't it? The whole dating scenario at the moment is just, it's like walking on eggshells. You've got your people that are worried about scammers, worried about catfish, they're worried about people screwing them over like their ex did, but you can't go into it constantly thinking about the worst case scenario. Yes, you do have to protect yourself and you've got to be cautious and you've got to be smart. Obviously, you're not just going to hand over your bank details to any person willy-nilly. You're a bit of a nut job if you do. But you've got to be a bit vulnerable. You've got to put yourself out there and want to meet people and make the effort to meet someone. So when you're getting to the first date part, one of my big things that I think is a must before meeting anybody, and that's you need to talk on the phone. That's a big must because anyone can just put some pretty nice, sweet little words into a message. Anyone can do that. You can even go to ChatGPT and say, hey, give me a nice reply to this message, and boom, you've got your answer. You don't even need to put any thought into it these days. But it's nice to speak to them just to see their communication style and see what they're like, because you can read their message and you might be reading it in your tone in your head, but they might be saying it in a completely different way. They might be very sarcastic, which is something that doesn't sit well with you. It could be anything, and that doesn't make them a bad person, but it just may not be someone that you're wanting to date. You're wanting to date someone that's can have a sense of humor, can have fun, but not do it in such a sarcastic way. So having a good chat with someone is a good icebreaker, and it's a good way to kind of really know if you're going to waste your time with the first date or not. Because if you can't have a conversation over the phone, then how in bejesus are you going to have a conversation in person? Because if you ask me, having a conversation over the phone is 1,000 times easier. Now, I'm not one that tends to get very nervous. I'm pretty okay in these kind of situations. You put me with any random person, I can probably start a conversation about any random topic. But there are a lot of people that do get quite nervous, which is understandable. Not everyone has that level of confidence where they can talk to anyone. So I do get that. And a lot of people are scared and put off by having a phone conversation. And a lot of people are also worried about having a phone conversation because they don't want to just give their phone numbers out. If worse comes to worse and it doesn't go the way you wanted it, you can just block their number or just not respond to their calls or messages. But it's such a good way to get to know that person and know how you're going to interact, know what you're getting into. And if it's something that's going to be for you, because you could speak to someone over the phone and all of a sudden a few minutes into it, you just think, no, this isn't for me. I'm not vibing this at all. And that's okay. You don't have to match with everyone. But you could go on a date with someone, not have the phone conversation, make all this effort to dress nicely and get yourself ready, go out on this date, meet them somewhere, and then you've put in all this effort only to get there and realize, fuck, I have zero interest in this person. That's why having that phone conversation, it eliminates that. It kind of culls back a lot of wasted energy in a way. If you don't want to meet someone, you don't have to, but having that conversation will determine, okay, yep, this person sounds nice. I really want to meet them, or nope, not at all. We just did not have a good conversation, didn't vibe, not for me. And you can just go separate ways. But don't be scared about having that phone chat. Don't be scared about initiating that before wanting to meet them, because that is a great way to actually know beforehand, yes, this is going to maybe go down a positive way. We've had a great connection over the phone. This is a great start. And you know, when you're going to have a great connection over the phone and you've got that good vibe going, one, it relaxes things when you actually meet in person. You feel a lot more ease. You know that you can talk well, you know that you can have a good conversation. It makes it a lot easier, especially if you're someone that does get quite nervous. Knowing that you can have that good conversation and it's someone that you feel comfortable talking to will make that first date so much easier if you speak to them beforehand. So do not be scared about having that phone call. Have that chat and just see if it is someone that you feel like you can connect with or not. Because like I said, anyone can put a few sweet little beautiful words down in a message. Anyone can write anything. I mean, hey, I can write a beautiful song if I want. Doesn't mean I can sing it. It's what you write is one thing. How you say it and how you act and actions behind the words is what's important in the dating situation here. And that's what you want to know. Can they follow through with their word, or are they just saying this to impress you? Now, getting to the first date. I also think it's a good idea, if you're feeling a connection, then why waste time with the constant back and forth chit chat? If you feel a connection and you've got time in your schedule to meet up, then make it work. Make it work. Organize a catch up. Now, when organizing the date, this is a little point that kind of grinds me these days. I feel like, and I don't want to make an assumption here because obviously I only have the opinions of men because that's who I'm dating. I feel like a lot of men these days are just not interested in planning a first date. It's so common to hear them say, I'll leave it up to you, or I'll let you decide. What do you want to do? Now, the verdict's out if they're trying to be a gentleman and wanting you to decide, or if they're being lazy, or if they're just trying to avoid getting screwed over. So they think, fuck it, I've been hurt before, so now it's up to them. They can decide. The verdict's out on that one. I don't know. But in my opinion, when you're planning a first date, I don't think it's fair to dump the planning all on one person. Make it a mutual decision, because I've seen people complain about a first date and then the location that they went to. But then why not tell them before going on the first date that you were not happy with the venue that was chosen? You both are adults. You both can make an agreement. If you're not liking the venue or the location that was decided, just say, hey, why don't we go here instead? Oh, I've been there and I don't really like it. Why don't we go to this place? Why don't we meet here? Come to an agreement. Find a common ground where it's a place where you are both comfortable with. Don't go on a date and complain where you're going because you haven't had any input, or complain that it's expensive, or complain that it's too far out of the way, or complain about something when you've done nothing to help with the planning. If you don't want to plan, then one, don't complain about where the location is or where you're going. But as I said, I don't agree with that method or the theory of just putting it all onto one person, because you've got to keep in mind, they're probably just as nervous as you, maybe even more so. So don't just put all the planning or the date pressure onto one person. Say, oh, I'll leave it up to you. I'll come to you, but you plan it. You decide, you book. You tell me where we're going. You tell me what time. No, guys, you're going on this date together. You guys need to come to an agreement. So what works for you? What about here? Now, realistically, when you're dating someone, you're going to be dating someone in your area. And if you're not, then find a place that's halfway. Find somewhere middle ground. Or maybe you can come to an agreement. Okay, you come closer to me for the first date, and the second date, I'll come closer to you. If there's going to be a second date. But who knows? If you're having a good chat on the phone and you're having a few conversations, you might already tell that it's going to go in a positive direction, but you can never assume, can you? So come to a common ground. Don't sit there and dump all the planning onto one person. Work out a time together. I'm available anytime from 6:30 if that works for you. You tell them. Don't just say, oh, you decide the time. No, you're both going on this date. They're not just dating you. You are also dating them. You've got to also make a good impression. It's not up to them to make the good impression by doing all the planning. You both have to put in the effort to impress the other person. Otherwise, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you even going on a date for if you're making zero effort to want to impress the other person? Put some effort in. So when you are wanting to go on a date with someone, put in an effort to want to impress them. And if you don't want to really go out of your way to impress them, then go out of your way to work out something together. Work out a restaurant, work out a coffee shop, work out a beach that you can just sit at and have a coffee or go for a walk. Anything. Do something where you both have come to an agreement on what you want to do, because there is no point walking away from a first date complaining about what you did or where you went because you did zero to contribute to the planning of it. So the planning of the first date should never just be up to one person. Do not dump the hard work on one person because you can't be fucked. Because if you can't be asked planning it, then why are you going on a date? Catch up with your mates. Catch up with your friends. Go out with them. If you want to meet someone new, put in that fucking effort and come to a common ground together of what you can do. Now, it's also become quite common to ditch the whole first date, if that makes sense. Like years ago, it used to be the thing where you'd go out on a nice dinner or a nice lunch, or you'd do something really romantic. Now, those days have kind of died in the ass because everyone's carrying all this baggage and hurt from their ex, and they think that they've been fucked over and screwed over, and so they don't want to date someone and put in the effort in case it happens again. Well, first of all, you cannot go into a date or the whole dating world thinking worst case scenario. Second of all, yes, you might get screwed over, but hey, you might not. You need to put yourself out there. So because these now whole nice romantic dates and the first date outings have kind of died in the ass because of that whole people don't want to put in the effort just in case they get hurt, it's now become quite common for people just to want to catch up and have a coffee or catch up and go for a walk or just have a little chat and then work it out from there, which is fine. If you want to do that, that's nice. But to me, I feel like you can do that on a first chat. You can just have a chat over the phone instead of wasting that time meeting up, and that's your first chat. And then you've met up with them and then you think, no, maybe I should have spoken to them on the phone and I would have known straight away, no, this person is not for me. So have that chat over the phone instead of just meeting up for a first chat. If you got that connection and you know you're having a good laugh with each other and you've got that good banter going, then why not go out on a first date and plan it together? Now, another thing as well, when you're planning a first date, it's key to remember that this is your chance to make a good first impression. If you're wanting to impress someone, then make a good first impression. Turn up and look like you've put in some effort. Now, I'm not telling you to go get a whole new outfit, go to the hairdressers and go to the barber or do what you do. You don't have to do that. If you do that, that's nice. You are really putting in some effort. But I'm not necessarily saying go out of the way like that. But I am saying don't just turn up to a date like you've just got out of fucking bed. Put in a little bit of effort. This is your chance to make a good first impression. So wear a nice shirt. And again, you don't have to put on a fancy shirt. You don't have to get dressed up. But just put in a little bit of effort. Don't just turn up in thongs like you're just going down to the beach for the day. You're meeting someone new who you're hoping will potentially be your partner, and you want to make a good impression. If you are going into a first date with I don't give a fuck. If she likes me, she likes me. If she doesn't, she doesn't. With guys, girls, whatever it is. If you're going into a date with that attitude, then the question is, why are you dating? What are you doing in the dating world if that's how you think? Making an effort for someone is such a huge tick in anyone's books, no matter if you're male or female. And I don't care what anyone says. Oh, you don't have to do this. You don't have to get that done. You don't have to do this. Looks are a huge part in attraction. And I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Oh, I don't judge someone by the way they look. It's not necessarily by whether they're good looking or not, but their appearance, the way they dress. People are attracted to other people by their appearance. And when you put in a bit of effort, it is a lot more attractive. So keep that in mind when you are going on a first date. You want to put in a bit of effort. You want to look attractive to the other person. It's not about going out of your way to do something that you wouldn't normally do. Be you. Be who you are. But make it known that you've put in a bit of effort. You haven't just come straight from work. And if maybe you have and you wear a suit from work at work, and that's a different story. But if you're a tradie or you just wear casual clothes and you've just been at work and you haven't even changed your shirt or anything, then that's a little bit lazy, I'm sorry. Now, when wanting to choose a location, back to this topic again, if you're wanting to do something different to the coffee date, the walk date, just a little catch up at the park or whatever, I think that's nice. I think it's nice. Put yourself out there. Show that you're willing to take a risk and you're willing to step out of your comfort zone is a nice thing. And it's always a big thing. What do you do on a first date? Where do you go? Now, you don't have to just go to lunch or dinner or go out and sit down and have a meal. You don't have to. That's not the only date option. And for some people, that can be really awkward or really uncomfortable, sitting down at a table and feeling like you have to have a forced conversation. Now, it shouldn't be a forced conversation. If you're with someone that you've got some attraction to, it should be a natural flowing conversation. If you're feeling like the conversation's forced and you're having to kind of pull teeth from this person to get a conversation out of them, then it's probably not going to go much further. You want to have something where you can just have a good banter and it's a nice laugh and the conversation just flows. So when thinking about where to go and what to do, don't think that, what restaurant can I go to? What coffee shop can we go to? Where can we go? What bar can we go to? You don't just have to do something like a meal or a drink. There are so many things that you can do without having to have the pressure of sitting down and having a meal together where you're stuck in this place and you're not sure if you're liking it or if you're comfortable. Pick something that is fun, something out of the square. And as I said, your first date is your chance to make a good first impression. So why not do something where you guys can have fun together? Do something where you can laugh, not where it's forced and you're feeling pressured and you go to a restaurant and then you realize, shit, they're vegetarian, there's not many vegetarian options here, or they've got a dietary requirement that you didn't know of and they can't eat food on the menu. Who knows what the situation could be. But if you want to avoid a situation like that, then one, you can have the phone conversation with them first and ask them what they do and don't eat. Or two, do something completely different. Do something fun. Go rock climbing. Go go-karting. Go to treetops. Go to a trampoline park. Paintball. All those things. Those are fun activities. Horse riding. There are so many fun options. All those other things I suggested, they're like fun activities. Do an activity. Do something where you're both going to feel comfortable. So if you're someone that gets nervous on dates and you don't want to sit there and have an awkward conversation over a meal, then do something where it can create the conversation for you. You can talk about what you're doing. If you're doing something like a paint class or axe throwing or pottery, like in Ghost, you can recreate that whole Ghost scene. Maybe a bit much for a first date, but it's something fun and you can sit there and laugh and you can help each other out and you can create a conversation based around what you're doing, and that's what makes it fun. And do you know what else makes a first date fun? Having something where they can walk back on and go, you know what, that was different. I haven't done that before. I really enjoyed myself. When you can walk away from a first date and say that you've really enjoyed yourself and you had a lot of fun, it's going to be a good chance that they're going to want to see you again. So if you're wanting that, then create that fun. Create that experience for them where they're going to look back and go, shit, I really enjoyed that. That was so good. I cannot wait to see them again. So don't feel pressured to stick to the normal meal date or a coffee date. Think outside the square, like even something like putt-putt. Putt-putt, you can come up and put your arms around them and give them a little hand, and just things where you can both interact with each other and help each other out. And that's what you want in a date. It shows their kind of how they are with you when you need help, if you're doing an activity that you need help with or something, and it makes them feel a bit more, makes them feel wanted. It makes them feel good knowing that they're helping you and you're enjoying it. You're wanting that help from them. So don't feel pressured to stick to the normal meal date or a coffee date where you've got to sit down and have that forced conversation. Think outside the square and do something fun. And remember, as I said at the start, don't put it onto the other person to plan. Plan it together. Maybe you do want to plan it yourself. Maybe you want to go, okay, you know what? I have got this great idea. I want to take them on a date, but I'm going to surprise them. Maybe if you want to do that, then that's fine. If you want to plan a date all on yourself and surprise them, then go do that. But I do not agree with putting it on the other person, say, hey, you plan it, then you tell me what you've decided. No, if you want to plan it, then you do that, but don't make someone else plan it. You either do it together or you do it and surprise them. But I think it's nice you do it together and let them know, because you might try and surprise them and they're like, oh, I'm allergic to horses and you've planned horse riding. Just an example there. But, just let them know what you're doing, so you know that it's something that they can or can't do, or maybe they've got an injury and it's something that they can't participate in. So having that conversation beforehand is a great way to break the ice as well. And you know what they do and don't like, and you know if they're kind of daring and adventurous. There might be someone, oh no, I don't want to do that. Let's just go out for lunch. Let's just go grab a coffee. You might just think, oh, this person's a little bit boring. Not for me. And then maybe it won't progress any further than that. But it lets you know where they're at. Are they willing to try new things and have fun? Are they willing to get out of their comfort zone and explore new activities? So just doing something different like that will also tell you a lot about the other person that you're going on the date with, and it'll get to you to see, are they willing to have fun? Are they willing to accept your help if they need it on the date? Are they willing to let go and just laugh, or are they just going to be real stiff and, oh, I don't like this. This is going to ruin my nails. Or, oh no, I'm not enjoying this. I'm going to get paint on my shirt. If you're going on a date with someone like that for the first time, it's like, you're boring. See ya. You want someone that's going to let their hair down and just get out of their comfort zone and have fun. So think outside the square when you are planning your first date. Now, if you are stuck on topics of what to talk about, don't make it forced. Don't just sit there and have boring, shitty conversation about the weather. Oh, it's a nice day today. Oh, it's meant to rain tomorrow. Boring. You probably have those boring conversations with like 10 people at work in the day already. You don't need to have it again when you're on a date. Find anything to talk about. There are so many things you can ask a person on a date, because the whole idea on going on a date is to get to know this person more. Are they going to be someone you want to spend more time with? Are they someone that you're going to want to keep dating and potentially introduce to your kids later down the track? Do you see that in them? Because that's what you're wanting. So ask those questions. Ask those serious questions. Do you see yourself getting married again in the future? Do you see yourself having more kids? If it's someone that doesn't live very close to you, ask them the question. How would you see this working in the long run if this was to work and you live an hour's drive away from me? Ask those questions. And then you might also want to ask some not so serious questions. So, do you have brothers and sisters? Where did you grow up? What school did you go to? Ask those kinds of fun questions. Get to know them as a kid. What sports did you play? Ideally, you do not want it to sound like an interview. You want it to be a casual flowing conversation. So ideally, it starts off by someone asking a question, or you might even just break the ice by talking about something that's happening of where you're at, the activity that you're at, or the coffee shop that you're at, or the place that you're at. You might start having a conversation about that. And then it just flows. You might have actually been there before sometime, and you might talk about that last time you've been there. Make the conversation flow. Don't just say, oh, how many sisters or how many brothers and sisters do you have? And then they just answer with a closed response. I got one sister and one brother. Okay, are they older or younger? That's an interview. No, we don't want that. And you do not answer a question in a closed way like that. Always, when someone asks you a question, you show interest back by asking them a question. And this is what frustrates me the most with online dating. When you're trying to get to know someone and you're asking them questions and trying to learn about them as a person to see if someone that you would be interested in, and they just answer with yes or no, or you ask them a question about what they do or where they work or something, and they answer you, and then that's it. You don't get another question back. It's just stopped. And it's like, okay, are they just waiting for me to ask another question, or are they wanting to know anything about me? Is this where the conversation ends? So don't make it an interview. And as I said, keep putting in that effort. Show them interest. And to also show them interest, you need to find out, you need to learn about them. You need to show that you're interested in wanting to learn about them. So don't just make it about you. Don't just sit there and wait for them to ask you all the questions. Show interest in wanting to get to know them. Show interest in what foods they like or what food you don't like. That's another good one. Is there anything that you don't eat? What drinks do you normally drink? When you go out to dinner, what would you normally drink? Are you a wine drinker? Are you a spirit drinker? Are you a beer drinker? Those kinds of questions, just a fun little break the ice. So if you were to go out again, you know what they drink. Oh, I don't drink wine at all. Those kinds of things are nice to know. Oh, I'm not a coffee drinker. I don't drink coffee. I might have a chai every now and then, but I don't drink coffee. Ask those questions. Get to know them, what they like, what they dislike, what their habits are, what they do. What do you have a morning routine, such as do you like to get up and go for a morning walk, or maybe you get up and go for the gym, or go to the gym, I should say, not for the gym, or do you get up and go for a run or do some yoga? Find out anything about them that you can have a common interest in. You might turn around and say, oh yeah, I get up and go for a run every morning too. Maybe we could do that together one day. Ask them questions to get to know them. That's what the first date is about. Do not make it awkward. Do not have awkward silences. Do not have awkward questions where it comes across like you're in an interview. Do not interview the other person. And if you're feeling like you are interviewing the other person, then it's either one, you're taking control of the conversation too much, or two, they're not involved in the conversation enough. And there needs to be that happy medium where you're both interacting with each other. You're not going to say, okay, it's your turn to ask a question now, but you want it to flow naturally. And you want it to where you're both asking questions, where you're both showing interest in the other person. Now, if you are really clicking with each other and you're feeling a good connection, I think it's nice to ask the question if you're wanting to escalate your level of affection, if you get where I'm going, if you're wanting to maybe kiss the person or do something, I think it's nice to actually ask that. Do you mind if I kiss you? Or sometimes you don't even need to ask. Sometimes you're in that moment and you're both just there, you're looking at each other and you're just feeling like, okay, this is right. In that moment, you don't necessarily need to ask. You can just both see you're on the same page and you're feeling it. But it is nice if you're not sure, if maybe you've got your arm around them, or maybe you don't even know if you can, you're sitting next to each other. Maybe you can just say, hey, do you mind if I put my arm there? Or it just depends. You don't always need to ask. You can tell in the moment if the other person is comfortable or not. If they're pulling away from you, they're not comfortable. Slide back a little bit. Don't get so handsy with them. And don't take it personally if they do, because everyone's been through their own personal experiences. Some people are happy for a bit of touchy-feely. Some people are happy for a bit of affection on the first date. Others not so much. It's everyone's own personal preference. And some people like to take it slow. Some people are happy just to go with the moment. And if it feels right in that moment, then they'll take it there. So don't get pushy on the first date. If you're not sure, ask the question. And if you're not ready to ask the question, then just leave it and just go with the flow. And if someone does pull back, don't get offended by it. Don't just go, oh, well, she's a bitch or they're an arsehole. They pulled away from me. Don't take it personally, because there's a good chance they're pulling back because maybe something's happened in their past and they haven't fully gotten over it and they're just slowly getting back into the dating routine. And that's fine. If you are in that situation, just say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. Say how you're feeling. Don't take it personally. Just apologize and say, listen, I'm sorry. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. I'm just enjoying the moment and I must have misread the signal, or whatever it was. Go with the flow. You're not going in with a written speech. We're all adults here. But just, you can usually tell when someone feels comfortable in the moment. But if you're unsure, then don't do it. Don't force something, or don't make someone feel uncomfortable. And if you have done so, or you're feeling like it's getting in that direction, then just apologize. Just say, hey, listen, I'm sorry. I must have misread the situation. Okay? And just remember, the best start to a good relationship is having a good level of communication. If you can have a nice chat on the first date and you can talk about things without being scared, or if you're able to communicate where you're at and your feelings, oh, I really like you, I really had a nice first date, then that's a great start. That's what you want. You want to know that you're possibly getting into a relationship with someone that you're comfortable to talk to, that you're comfortable to communicate things with. And you need that in a relationship. Don't walk away from a date going, oh, I'm not sure how I felt. I'm not sure how they felt. I don't know anything. You need to ask questions. But you don't necessarily say, hey, do you like me? But put it out there for them. If you like them, don't be scared to say how you feel. Don't be scared to communicate it. And if they don't reciprocate, if they don't feel the same way, then that's okay. Don't take it personally. You have put yourself out there and that's something to be proud of. But if they're not on the same page, they just might not be ready to say on the first date how they feel. So don't take it personally if someone's not able to give you back what you want in a response, whether they like you or not, or whether they can see you again or not. Just go with the flow. Don't put too much pressure on a first date. Focus on just having fun and get to know those basic questions about them. And if you're doing a nice fun activity, then you don't need to force that conversation. It'll just flow naturally with the activity that you're doing. Have fun with it. So when it comes to the end of a first date, don't be scared to say how you feel. Don't just get to the end of the first date and think to yourself, oh, I didn't like them, or they were really nice. I hope they message me back so I can see them again. Don't be scared to tell them. Now, if you're not comfortable to say it then and there in person, which a lot of people aren't these days, and that's okay. If you can, if you are, then go ahead and say it. But if you're not, then send a message. Send a message and let them know. Let them know, I had a really great time today. It was really nice meeting you and I look forward to catching up again sometime. And if you get a message like that from someone and it's not what you wanted, they're not the person for you, say it to them. Don't lead them on. Don't just ignore their message. Don't just ghost them. Don't just block them and not respond because they weren't what you wanted. Just say, that was a really lovely date. I had a really nice time. But I'm sorry, I just didn't feel a connection. Please don't take it personally. It's just not for me. So be open and honest with your communication. Be open and honest with how you feel. And another thing I think is a really nice thing on a first date, and I don't think it's as common these days as what it used to be, but if you're going out on an evening date, or even not necessarily on an evening date, it's nice when a guy says, hey, message me when you get home so I know you got home safe. Now, that's such a sweet little detail to add to the end of the date. It doesn't cost anything, and it just shows your level of interest. When a guy says that, it's like, wow, okay, they care. That's nice. That is nice. And who knows? It could also be their way of getting you to reach out to them first. It might be their way of really showing that they care and showing that they're interested, but it might also be their way of them getting you to message them back to see if you're interested in them. Because if you're not interested, then you're not going to message them and say, hey, I got home. Or maybe you will if you want to do the right thing, which I think you should. But if you did get home safe and you want a message, then you say it. Hey, just got home. Thanks for tonight. It was a really nice night. Which is, like I said, a sneaky way of getting a guy to get you to message first. But hey, it's a nice way of showing them that they're interested in you. And if that doesn't happen, then don't be scared to reach out and say that you had a good time. Like people sometimes wait for the other person to reach out. People wait days and just think, oh, I haven't heard from them. Why haven't they messaged me? Don't be scared to reach out to them. Don't sit around and wait. You can extend the olive branch and say, you know what? I'm going to message them. And just shoot them a nice short message just saying, hey, it was lovely catching up. I had a really nice time on Saturday. Hopefully we can catch up again soon. Leave it at that, or hoping to see you again soon. And if they message you back, then yay. If they don't, then no, I shouldn't say that, sorry. But they weren't for you. If they didn't message you back or they don't message you back, then that's okay. You know, you don't have to waste any more time worrying about them. That's okay. Well, They weren't interested, so let's find someone else. Don't take it personally if you don't hear back. And don't sit around and feel like you have to wait for the other person to message you. If you actually liked them and you were interested in seeing them, don't sit around and wait. Just say, message them. And please note, if you don't hear back from them and they don't message you back, please don't send a question mark, or please don't send a nasty message back because they didn't reply to your first message. Yes, they should have replied. Yes, they should have told you what they thought or how they're feeling and that they're not on the same page, but they didn't. But don't do tit for tat. Don't get nasty. If they don't respond to you, then just fucking leave them. They're not for you. They're not your person. And I don't agree in having a whole timeline or time frame in when you should speak to someone after the first date or when you should message them first. Go with your gut. If it was a really nice date and you both clicked, message them when you get home from that date. Message them later that night. Message them first thing the next morning. There is no time frame to when you need to be in contact with them after your first date. Don't sit there and go, oh, okay, it's too soon. Or, I need to wait and see if they are interested. No, if you are keen, if you are interested, if it went well, then let them know. Don't play games. I hate this whole theory of, no, I've got to wait for them. No, I've got to see if they're interested. To me, that's a bit of game playing. I don't like that method. Communicate it. Say, yes, I loved it. Okay, that's a bit much. You don't need to say I loved it. But yes, I really enjoyed myself. I had such a great day. Tell them how you feel. Don't drag it out if you didn't enjoy it, or not so much didn't enjoy it, if they weren't for you. Don't drag it out. Don't let them believe that you're still interested if you're not. Don't keep them hanging on waiting to hear from you. If after the first date you didn't get the vibe, let them know. Say it. That is the the grown-up thing to do. Be a mature adult, because we are all adults here. If you're not interested, don't keep them hanging. Don't leave them guessing maybe they're still going to message me, maybe they're not. Let them know how you feel. So that's just a few of my tips for first date etiquette. Speak to them first. Speak to them on the phone. Get that chat going. Get that banter going. See how you connect by having a good verbal conversation as opposed to just writing messages that anybody can write. Have a nice chat first. Plan the date together. Do not dump the plans all on the other person and then say, you tell me once you've decided. Fuck that lazy shit. Get off your ass and put in some effort. Both of you come to an agreement to work together to plan something nice. But if you want to do it yourself, then that's fine. You do it, but you let the other person know beforehand in case it's something that they can't do, or there's something there that they're allergic to, or whatever the reason. Let them know beforehand. Keep the conversation flowing. Do not make it like an interview. If someone asks you a question, keep it flowing and ask them a question back. Keep it nice. Talk about things that's happening in the moment so you can talk about what you're doing. Make conversation about what's happening. Maybe you can talk about something that they're wearing, or the perfume that they're wearing, or anything. Just talk about something in the moment so it's natural and it flows nicely. Don't feel like you have to stick to the standard meal date. Think outside the square and do something fun. Do something where you both can get involved and enjoy yourself, and where you can have a laugh. Even something like a comedy act. Something where you can just sit down and enjoy yourselves, which actually that may be a bit awkward for a first date because you can't really actually talk to each other and get to know each other. Maybe that's date 2 or 3. But something where you guys can interact, have conversation, laugh, and get to know each other. And don't feel pressured on having one of those meal dates if you're not comfortable with doing that. If you don't want to go somewhere specific for a first date, if it's a place that you don't want to go to and you've got no interest in going, don't sit there and complain about it. Tell them. Let them know, okay, well, I don't really like that place, or that place isn't that good. Don't actually say it like that. Just say, hey, how about we go to this place instead? I've heard this place is quite nice. Offer an alternative suggestion instead of complaining about the place that you're going to. Come to a common ground to agree together on what to do and where to go. When it comes to affection, if you feel like the vibe's right, if you feel like you're both in the moment and you're getting that same vibe from them, that they're on the same page, then let them know. Give them a hug. Give them a little peck. If you're not sure, ask, but don't make it awkward. If you do something and they didn't like it, or if they pulled away, apologize. Keep that communication going. Let them know that you're a good person, because you might go to kiss them, they might pull away, and you might think, oh, well, they're thinking I'm an arsehole. But you're not an arsehole. You're just showing them that you like them. So just say that. I'm sorry. Apologize in the moment, and they've just misunderstood. Not everyone's on the same page. Not everyone wants to rush things. Some people are happy to take things a little bit slower. So don't be scared to communicate where you're at. Don't be scared to say, hey, I really want to kiss you right now. And if they want to, they might turn around and say, yeah, that'd be nice. Or they might turn around and say, that would be nice, but I'm just not ready. Not today. Or maybe next time, maybe on the next date. We'll see how that goes. And that's a little cue for you, knowing that you're going to get a date too. So just go with the flow. Read the room and see how it's going, and follow up. Don't be scared to follow up and let them know how you feel. And if it wasn't for you, let them know. Tell them, had a great date, but I'm sorry, I just wasn't feeling it. I don't think I'm on the same page. I'm sorry. Don't be an arsehole about it. Don't be rude about it. And if they do get defensive about it because you did say that, then just let them know, I don't want you to get angry. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to upset or hurt you. I just didn't feel a connection. You don't want it to be about getting angry and fighting with people. This is not what the dating world should be about. The dating world is about having fun and getting out there and meeting new people. So don't be scared to get out there and try these new experiences. And one point that I missed from the beginning is don't forget to make a good impression. Put in some effort. Your first date is your first chance to make a good first impression. So make it a good one. Let them see you and go, oh, okay, they've put in some effort. Okay, I like that. That's nice. That's nice. Put in some effort. Oh, and just one more thing while I'm on it, which I didn't really discuss this in the other previous tips, is don't be negative. Now, it's okay to be real and talk about things that happen in your life. You may have had an unpleasant situation happen in your life, and somehow it just comes up in conversation. If you feel like it's going to go down a really negative path by bringing that up, then maybe hold off talking about that on the first date. Or if possible, try and avoid negative talk altogether. Don't talk about exes. Don't talk about how much you hate your ex. Don't talk about just shit that's negative and miserable. You want them to see the fun side of you. You want them to see that you're a positive person. Because if you're going to sit there and complain about your ex, then you're going to sit there and think, oh, fuck, this is possibly the mother of their child or the father of their child, and this is how they're speaking about them. What are they going to say about me if this goes pear-shaped? You don't want someone that's going to be so negative and nasty. You want someone to go, yeah, we've broken up. That's okay. We're not the best of friends, but that's okay. We get along for the kids, and that's fine. But you know what? You don't even have to go into that, but try and keep the conversation lighthearted and away from any negative talk. You don't want it to go down that, poor me, I'm a victim, this happened, my ex is a bitch, blah, blah, blah. Don't go down that path. Try and keep it positive. Try and keep it fun and happy, and try and make it where they walk away from the first date and go, that was fun. I really enjoyed that. A good first date is a date that someone will never forget. Because let's be honest, a coffee date is a coffee date. Who's even going to remember that? A year down the track, I went on this coffee date. I can't even remember their name. Who knows? It's not going to be a memorable occasion. If you want it to be something that's, you're sounding like it could be a good connection and it could progress, then make it something that they're going to always remember. Fuck, remember our first date when we went horse riding and then we had this cute little picnic? That's something fun that they will never forget. Some people are happy to do that for the second and third date because they don't want to put so much effort into the first date. But I don't know. I say, hey, put yourself out there. And if you're not sure, have those conversations beforehand and see where you're at. Get the vibe from each other. Have those conversations and get to know a bit more about the other person. But you've got to take that risk. That's what life's about. Putting yourself out there, taking that risk to find that special someone. You're not going to find someone just by staying comfortable and just by hoping for the best. And by telling them to plan it all and let you know when it's all organized. No, fucking lazy. Get in there and help them. So, that's some tips from me about first date etiquette. Make it fun. Don't put so much pressure on it. There is so much pressure on the first date and so much, oh no, I shouldn't be bothered, or I shouldn't do this, or I can't spend this much money, or I can't do this, or there's no rules. There is no rules as to what you can and can't do. Go with your gut. Go with your gut. If you think this person sounds amazing, then you know what? Do something nice. If you think they sound nice, but verdict's still out, you're not too sure, then do something a little bit low key, like a coffee or just a beach walk or something. But put yourself out there. Yes, you're going to have to take risks. Yes, there's a chance you could get heartbroken again. But that's what it's about. But you've just got to remember, if it doesn't go your way, don't take it personally. Just take it on board as, okay, it's a shame. I like them, but hey, they weren't for me, and there's somebody else out there. That one person that didn't work out for you is not the end of the world. Okay? And if someone doesn't respond to you after the first date, then don't be scared to send them a message. Don't be scared to say, hey, I really had a nice time, and get their vibe on it. If they message back and say, no thanks, don't get upset. If they message back and say, yeah, I had a lovely time. Let's catch up this weekend if you're free. Whatever it is. But please, don't get defensive if they weren't on the same page as you. If they weren't interested, don't take it personally. Don't get all sad and upset. It's life. You're not going to be everyone's perfect match. So just take it with a grain of salt and just, maybe reflect on yourself and go, okay, I'll take that on board. Maybe next time I go on a date, I will maybe do this a bit differently. Or maybe you don't even have to do anything differently. Maybe you've just got to be a bit more fussy with people that you're looking for when you're going on dates. Just go with the flow and have fun with it. So that's about it from me today. And I hope you got something from this. And if you have any dating experiences or anything like that you want to share, then I'd love to hear from you guys. Shoot them through, send them through to my Instagram page, or you can even message me from my website, and all those details are in the show notes below. And if you're struggling in the dating world, you don't know what to do, or you're struggling with communicating, you don't know how to talk to people, you're just so nervous and your confidence is not in a place where you're ready to get out there, then hey, I'm happy to have a chat and let's see if we can get you in a place where you are ready. Get past that past anger and hurt that you might be feeling from your ex. Get past these nerves and these jitters that you have to get you in a better place so you can be the best version of you when you go out and start dating and meeting someone new. So that's about it from me today, guys. I hope you'll go out and put some of these practices into place. And remember, stop making other people plan the date because you can't be asked. Plan it together. Just say, hey, yeah, let's work something out. Let's plan it together. Let's work out the time, the location. Do it as a mutual thing. So there's no complaining from anyone, and keep that conversation open and flowing because you want someone that you can communicate with nicely. So thanks again, guys. And as I always say, I hope you got something useful from this episode. And remember, if you want any further information, jump onto my website or my Instagram page where all my details are there in the show notes below. And thank you again, everyone. Don't forget to give me a review because every review helps getting this podcast into all those ears and helping those other single parents out there on their single parent journey. So thank you again. And until next time, I'll be in your ears then.
Thank you for joining us on the Life After Plus One podcast. If you loved what you heard today and looking for some further support, then jump onto our website, lifeafterplusone.com. Plus, don't forget to check out our Instagram page for further resources and inspo. You can find all the links in the show notes. And remember, you're not alone on this path. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And in the meantime, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep exploring your amazing life after plus one.